I'm gonna go ahead and get this out of the way because we're here to celebrate.
Okay, yes.
When I text the group, what I didn't understand was your response to my invite.
That I don't do second string invite.
No, you weren't second string. You weren't even first string. You were the backup.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss The Real Housewives of Potomac, Season 8, Episode 12. And before we get into it, let me start off by saying thank you all so much for bearing with me. I caught a really nasty cold over the weekend. It came out of nowhere. So when I tell you that Sunday and Monday had me out, I was just like, what is going on? But anyhow, we're back and we are up and we have a lot to talk about because this episode was low-key one of the best episodes of the entire season. Now, Gizelle, the way I'm about to get you together because you tried it several times and the hate that's in your heart, I just don't understand it. How you hate Wendy this bad, but yet you want to attend her event. I'm not understanding, but we'll talk more about that later on. But without further ado, let's just get right on into it because you guys already know that we don't have a minute to spare. So we open up this episode with Gizelle and Ashley. They're at a fabric store looking at different fabrics for their up-and-coming athleisure line called G&A. Neither one of y'all can dress. So again, I don't understand why you guys think that it's going to be a successful business venture to start this athleisure line. But again, who am I to judge? If you guys think that it's going to be a success, then so be it. Gizelle going on to say how much she loves their name, G&A. And I just said, girl, the name is lazy. And then they showed the clip of you telling your daughters about the name, and even your daughters packed you up. They were like, really, Mom? What is this, preschool? One thing about it, Gizelle's daughters are going to give it to her again and again and again.
And you're gonna always get it again and again and again.
So now we see Mia and Robin join Gizelle and Ashley at the fabric store, and they're there to give their opinions about what they want to see in this athleisure line. So Gizelle says that their goal is to help fix coochie sweat, and Mia's like, oh, that's great because I also sweat in my butt too. I was like, honestly, if I'm being truthful, I don't feel like Gizelle and Ashley's leggings are going to help with coochie or butt sweat. I think that it's going to be some real cheap material and it's going to look a mess. So Mia says that she's excited for Gizelle and Ashley and this clothing line, and then she goes on to ask them if they went to Surrey with Karen. So Ashley says, yeah, I did. And by the way, Karen was upset with you that you didn't show up. So now Gizelle jumps in, and of course she's stirring up mess by bringing up how there were two different invitations. There was a first tier invitation and then a second tier invitation. So Mia says, yeah, I don't do second string. I'm a first round draft pick. So now Robin jumps in and she pretty much co-signs on what Mia says. And she says, yeah, we get this invitation 12 hours beforehand and she wants us to drop our other plans. I don't think so. Now, one thing about it, you guys know in the past, in other recaps, I've discussed how I don't do secondhand invitations, so I can definitely understand why they felt a type of way and did not go. I think that Karen needs to own it and just say, you know what, I'm not surprised. It was a secondhand invitation. I didn't give them that much notice, so I can't be upset that they didn't want to go. We all know that if the tables were turned, Karen would feel insulted about getting a secondhand invitation. So even though I don't care for Robin or Mia, I can admit and acknowledge that they weren't wrong for not wanting to show up to Surrey County. Now, in the same breath, I still stand by what I said in my last recap, where I'm actually surprised that Mia didn't go, because we all know that Mia loves her camera time and she loves to film a scene and collect her check. So that's the only reason why I was a bit surprised that she chose not to attend. So now Ashley brings up how on the bus ride to Surrey, Wendy invited everybody to Eddie's weed event except for Nneka. So they all correct her and they're like, oh no, Nneka was invited. She was in the group chat as well. Now, Wendy says that she wanted to follow in the spirit of Karen's event, so she invited everybody. Now, Wendy, we're going to talk more about this later on, but when you make moves like this where you also invite Nneka, that signals to everybody that you want to move forward and you do want to create some peace between you two. It seems like you were extending an olive branch. So how you were acting towards her later on in this episode, it had me confused. And again, Wendy, I like you and everything, but I have to be fair. And I have to call you out when I feel like you're moving a bit weird. So Gizelle says that she's going to attend Wendy and Eddie's weed event only because they're all going. Now, Gizelle, the way I'm about to read you in just a few minutes, just you wait. And your attitude when you got to her event was piss poor and it was disgusting and hateful. And again, we'll talk more about that in just a few minutes, but you tried it. So now Ashley brings up how they're all supposed to bring a +1. And here goes Gizelle mentioning how Eddie probably did not invite Nneka's husband, Ike. So now Robin says, oh yeah, Eddie sent out a group text to all the husbands and Ike was not in them. I don't think that he's invited. Now, I don't know why you guys are so pressed about who Eddie invited. Why do y'all care so much? So now we jump over to Nneka. She's at home and she's on FaceTime with her business partner. And we find out that while Nneka is a lawyer, she's also launching her own sparkling wine collection called Bidot. Now, Nneka, let me stop you right here. I can assure you that the viewers, and that includes myself, we would have loved if you would have started off with your wine line and not coming after Dr. Wendy about shrines and voodoo. I feel like, Nneka, you would have been a lot more likable had you shown us this side of yourself versus coming after Wendy and trying to be Gizelle and Robin's pet. Now, Nneka's FaceTime call with her business partner is over, and we see that Nneka has some friends over, Lebe and her other friend, Chica. Now, was it just me, or did it feel like Lebe was low-key auditioning to come on this show and replace Dr. Wendy? We all know that Lebe is a big key in this mess between Wendy and Nneka. So just seeing her, I say, yeah, it's giving that Lebe is trying to step into Dr. Wendy's shoes and be on this show as well. That's what it gave. And we already know that Wendy had leaked the text messages between her and Lebe. Lebe was asking her for her doctor who did her BBL because she also wanted to get her body done too. I could feel the thirst oozing from her pores. And I said, yeah, that's why Wendy and her sister don't fool with you now. Now, as they're in Nneka's kitchen talking, Nneka says, let's go upstairs to my closet and we'll talk even more. So she says, just an FYI, I don't have all my furniture yet. My house is still coming together. So we're going to have to carry these chairs upstairs. I was like, girl. So they're up in Nneka's closet and Nneka says that a lot has been going on and how she's excited for her pajama unpacking party. She invited all the ladies and she says, we're going to have some catered food. My wine is going to be present. I can't wait. So now she goes on to ask Lebe if Lebe is going to be comfortable with Wendy being there. So now Lebe says, well, girl, don't be too excited because are you sure that Wendy is going to come? So Nneka says, well, regardless if she comes or doesn't come, the point is, I think that we're moving in the right direction because she did invite me to Eddie's weed event. So Lebe was not here for it. She was like, girl, just be prepared because you're stepping onto her turf. It's her territory. And it was so funny to me because Nneka was not trying to hear any of it. She said, well, I understand that, but at the same time, me and Wendy are now in the same friend group. We share the same friends. Let's just hope that we can get past that. And we see later on that it seems like Wendy is not trying to mend fences whatsoever. So now we flip over to Candace and Chris. They're at home getting ready for Eddie's Happy Eddie weed event. And Candace says, well, I can't stay that long today because I have to go and film my show. Remember, she's on that show called Hush. So she says, you're going to be there the whole time. So make sure to pick up this pre-rolled blunt for me. I need this, this, and that. And we know that Candace does like to partake in some marijuana. So she's like, just make sure to have my goodies for me since I won't be able to be there the whole time. So now she goes on to ask Chris, how does he feel about seeing everybody in the group, especially forehead and ankles? Now we know who she's talking about. She's talking about Chris seeing Ashley and Gizelle. So Chris says, look, I'm going to be cool. If they say hi to me, I'm going to say hello back. Like, I'm going to be in good spirits. I don't think that it's going to be any mess or any drama. And also, I've never met an angry stoner. Now, Candace, let me just stop for a minute, right? Because this is why I really take issue with you trying to be cordial with Ashley. I'm well aware that you're being strategic because you know that if you fall out with everybody on this show, you won't have anybody to film with, and that will result in you not being on this show anymore, collecting this check. So I get that you're trying to be cordial with Ashley because you want to stay on this show. But my thing is, I'm just confused as to how you can extend all this grace and say that Ashley is a fun girl in one breath, but then say, oh, well, how are you going to be when you see forehead in the next breath to your husband? This woman lied. She was in cahoots with her raggedy friend Deborah and Gizelle all last season, trying to take your husband down, but yet you're still trying to extend grace and say, oh, she's a fun girl. She's actually a cool girl, and our love language is arguing with each other. That's just our relationship. I just don't understand it. And again, y'all, I know a lot of you guys got upset with me in the last recap when I said that I've washed my hands of Candace when it comes to the whole Ashley situation, because I really feel that deep down inside, this isn't about strategy. I really do feel like Candace wants to be Ashley's friend. That's why I get so upset, because I just feel like deep down inside, she low-key craves Ashley's friendship and acceptance and her validation. And again, if I'm wrong, then so be it. But I really think that my prediction is right, because just hearing Candace say in interviews at BravoCon that her and Ashley have this bond where they argue, but they actually like each other deep down inside, I don't get it. And I really do believe that Candace really does want a friendship with somebody who's been so evil to her and her husband. So now we flip over to Wendy and Eddie. They arrive at the dispensary, and Eddie's business partners and the owners of the dispensary greet them. So they take them up to the private room where the event is going to be held at. And when I tell you, Wendy, baby, you looked like everything in that white dress. The body was bodying the skin. I mean, honey, all that melanin. I said, girl, you better go ahead. Everything about that look was just flawless. And that's how you look when you're about to be in the presence of a whole bunch of haters. Because again, Wendy looked phenomenal in that white dress. Absolutely stunning. I was here for it. But anyhow, we find out that Eddie has 3 strains, and one of the strains is called Zen Wen. I said, I love it. Now I said, Wendy girl, send me a gift box, okay? I want to try a few of these strains. Now the event space was beautiful. Everything was set up lovely. But we find out from one of the business partners that they're not going to be rolling actual weed today because they don't want to scare anybody. Now, Wendy and Eddie, here's where I have to deduct a few points. And I low-key felt like the event was a bit of a flop because we're here to roll up some weed. And the fact that they have to roll up some oregano instead of that, I just said, no way. I was upset to hear that because you've invited people who do not like you and they're hoping that whatever you do fails. So now it's like, what a flop that you have to roll oregano and not real weed. I would have had an issue with that. So Candace and Chris arrive first, and Candace makes it clear that Chris will be there the whole time, but she has to run because she has to go on set and film her show. So she's like, I just wanted to come out and support and say, hey, but I have to go. And Wendy gives her a gift box. And when I tell you those gift boxes look like everything, I said, I know that's right. So Candace heads out with her goodie bag of weed, and as she's leaving, she bumps into Mia and Gordon. Now, I think it's so funny how Mia and Candace are actual friends now, because we all remember how back in the day, they could not stand each other. They got into that whole fight in season 6, and now here they are, super close. You have Mia saying, oh my gosh, hey, beautiful. She's like, oh, hey, baby, how are you? You know, oh, I'll see you later. You know, I love you. I was like, girl, what? Like, y'all could not stand each other. Now, all of a sudden, it's all this? So now Ashley arrives, and she's already on some BS. The minute she stepped into the room, Chris Bassett's face got tight. So Ashley says, when it comes to Chris Bassett, I have no interest in ever speaking to him, speaking about him, seeing him, looking at him. I don't want him in my space. And I just said, you do know that he shares the same sentiments, sis. He can't stand you either. And I said, the audacity for you to say that you have no interest in ever speaking to this man when you were the one who lied on him. You're angry that you lied on somebody and he called you out and ripped you a new asshole as he should have. And now you want to play victim and say, oh, I don't like him. I can't stand him. I have no interest in ever seeing him again. Girl, what? I said, Ashley, if you don't get out of my face. And again, Candace, another reason why I get so irritated with you, because for you to want to allow this woman back in your space when she lied on your man. I will never see it for Ashley Darby. I will always stand by my opinion that Ashley Darby is the most diabolical person on this cast. You know what's funny to me? I've heard from several people, along with a few content creators who do know Ashley, and they've all said that the reason why a lot of these girls forgive her so easily, because when the cameras are off, she's completely different. Like, she's pleasant to be around, very sweet. And I've heard this from multiple people. And they say that when the cameras turn on, she flips a switch and she shows out because she wants that check. And personally, I feel like that's troubling, that you're willing to play a villain and to be so evil and to go so low just because the cameras are on and you want some money. That's pathetic to me. And honestly, if that's the case, then Ashley, maybe look into acting. Because if you're just so sweet and you're playing a character on this show, then maybe, baby girl, you might be better off on a show, on a scripted series. Because I'm finding it hard to believe that you're just so sweet and lovely in real life and you only act like this just because the cameras are on and you want to check. You can't hide your real self for that long because, again, I feel like we would be seeing all sides of you if that were the case, right? So Karen arrives. She brings her friend / assistant, Matt, and now her and Mia immediately get into it. Karen addresses Mia about her response to her invitation to Surrey. So Mia's like, girl, I don't do second string invites. That's why I didn't come. So now Karen says, girl, you weren't even second string. You weren't even first string. You were backup. So I was like, Karen, what? So Karen says, look, Mia, it's not about you. It's about what I'm trying to do to help this group move forward. So Mia says, you're just mad because I didn't want to go to boring ass Surrey County. Now Karen was livid. Karen says, girl, I can tell you it's better than your boring ass life. Now, Karen, like I said earlier on, you can't be upset that Mia did not want to go because you gave her a secondhand invitation. All you need to say is, you know what, Mia, I understand, I'm sorry, and keep it moving. In the same way that Nneka called you out in the last episode where she said, Karen, I see where Mia's coming from because I was also offended when I found out that I received a secondhand invitation. And what did you say? You said, Nneka, that was not my intention, but I'm sorry if you felt that way. But I wasn't trying to make you feel like you were a secondhand invite or an afterthought. That wasn't what it was. If you had just said, Mia, I didn't have enough liability insurance to have everybody over at the house. That's why I was unable to invite you the first go round. I think that Mia would have been more understanding. But you saying, oh, Mia, I didn't like your response to my invitation. Well, Karen, let's be honest. Anybody would feel a type of way receiving a secondhand invitation. So just drop it. And you know it's a sad day when I'm siding or defending Mia. But in this case, Mia has every right to feel how she feels. So they're still arguing. And now Mia says, you know what, Karen, you're an old dog. Find some new tricks. So now Karen's like, girl, you are the trick. So mind you, while this was going on, Nneka came in and Wendy gives her the coldest greeting ever. And I was just like, Wendy, here's my issue with you. Because if you're going to invite somebody, then you should be cordial and sweet to all your guests. Period, point blank. Don't invite somebody to then give them the cold shoulder. That's not how this works. You can't have it both ways. If your disdain for Nneka runs that deep, then you should not have invited her. But don't invite Nneka to then be rude and cold to her when she shows up. And Miss Gizelle, let me get on you because, girl, the way you have my blood boiling. Gizelle arrives and she greets everybody except for Wendy and Eddie. Now, let's stop for a minute. To all the Gizelle fans, feel free to skip past this portion because I will be going in on your girl. She was dead ass wrong. Gizelle, you do not get to attend Wendy and Eddie's event and not greet them. How dare you? And Wendy and Eddie should have kicked you out. Not only did you lie on this man in season 6, never apologize for it, but now they extend the olive branch and they are saying, you know what, Gizelle, we would love to invite you and come and join us. You show up and to disrespect them in that way by not saying hello, absolutely not. If I choose to go to an enemy's event, I owe it to them to say hello because at the end of the day, I did not have to go. And me going signals that I also want to have some peace between us because why would I go? If you hate Wendy and Eddie that much, then you should have sat home. But that was so wrong of you to come to that event and not say hello to them. And Robin, when you came in and didn't address Wendy or Eddie either, I said, girl, you would have been kicked out too because you will not come to my event and not say hello to me. That's not how this works. It's one thing if we're at an event that somebody else has hosted and we're all there because we're all friends with said person, like when it comes to Karen's events or Ash's events and we're all there. If we don't speak, that's one thing. But if I invite you to my event to extend an olive branch, you will be saying hello to me or you will be kicked out. Period, point blank. And honestly, Wendy, it feels like you're afraid of Gizelle. And again, girl, it's no shade. I'm just calling it how I see it. But it feels like you're afraid of her because when she turned her back to you and walked away, when you said to Ashley and Karen, how did she come to my event and not say hello to me? Instead of me saying that, I would have walked over to Gizelle, tapped her on the shoulder and said, hey girl, I extended this invitation to you as an olive branch and you didn't address me, so I'm going to ask you to leave because there's no way in hell that you come in here and disrespect me and my husband. That's not happening. So now it's time for them to learn how to roll up some weed. And before they start, Eddie gives a speech and he thanks them all for attending. Now, did anybody notice how rude Gizelle was being as Eddie gave his speech? I just said, girl, you can't help yourself. If you hate them so bad, then why are you here? And for all my Gizelle fans, can you just at least be fair and acknowledge that Gizelle is out of line for coming to their event and being so rude and blatantly disrespectful. Now, Mia, let me clock you for a minute because you tried it. When you threw that shade saying that in all the time that you've known Eddie, you haven't known him to have a job, and then saying, oh, he went from attorney to now he wants to be the weed man, I said, Miss Mama's not too much because you and Mr. Brown are both unemployed. So again, girl, not too much about Eddie. And sweetheart, you went from a rented mansion in Potomac to a 2-bedroom. So again, sis, not too much. Now we see Gizelle throwing shade at Chris Bassett, saying that Chris Bassett looks like he's put on some weight and how he's been stress eating. And I said, really, Gizelle? Riddle me this. How are you shading a man that you lied on? And like I've said, Gizelle and Ashley are the epitome of they can dish it out, but they can't take it. I can't stand it. How dare you speak on this man when you almost ruined his life? He lost jobs, he lost income, he had everybody looking at him crazy, and you want to play around and act like he did something to you. Gizelle is insane. I don't understand how somebody can operate with a twisted mindset like that. So now Wendy announces to everybody that unfortunately they have to roll up with oregano and not actual weed. So they're all like, oh my gosh, really? You have Robin throwing shade saying, well, I could have stayed home and learned this on YouTube if I knew that it was going to be oregano and not weed. I said, girl, shut up. Why are you there anyway? You don't like Wendy or Eddie. So again, sis, why are you there? While they did roll up with oregano and not weed, at the end of the day, everybody was going home with a goodie bag filled with weed. So you really can't be that upset. And also, if I were Wendy and Eddie, Gizelle and Robin would not be getting a goodie bag from me because how dare you walk into my event, disrespect me the way you did, and you think that I'm going to give you a box of free goodies? Absolutely not.
No.
So as they're rolling up the oregano, they're all laughing and joking around. And now Wendy interrupts and she says, may I just say, thank you guys all for coming. And this has been the most that we've laughed as a group in a very long time. So Gizelle says, was I laughing? I wasn't laughing. Production plays the tapes back. We see that just 5 minutes ago, Gizelle was laughing. I mean, the head was cocked to the side. She was having a good old time. I said, it must be really sad to have that much hate and evil in your heart that you can't even acknowledge anything that Wendy says. Wendy could say the sky is blue and Gizelle will find a way to find fault with that. She would say, no, it's not blue, it's orange. What is she talking about? So the event is winding down. We see Gordon leave early. And now Robin questions Mia about the status of her marriage. And Mia says, yeah, I did want a divorce, but how can I leave him now when he has nobody? I said, Mia, please shut up. You know that you never loved that man. And you're on the way out now, so please stop. Now, Wendy, I'm not going to hold you, but you had me a bit confused at this part. When Nneka pulled you over to the side and said, hey, Wendy, I just want to say thank you for inviting me today. I appreciate it. And I would love to have the opportunity to have a sit-down conversation with you, one-on-one, just us. You being cold towards her and then saying, well, I received that, but then saying, I want to make sure that it's rooted in sincerity. And when Nneka said, yes, that's why I'm inviting you to have a one-on-one conversation, just you and I. You giving Nneka pushback was confusing. And even Nneka states that she's confused at the pushback because you invited her here today to Eddie's event, but now you don't want to meet up one-on-one. It's not making sense. And Wendy, again, that's my issue with you. If you are still angry at Nneka and you don't want to move forward with her, then what was the point in inviting her to Eddie's Happy Eddie event? It's just not adding up, sis. And I have to call a spade a spade. Again, let me know down in the comments, but I was confused as well. So we jump over to Mia and Gordon. They're out on a lunch date, and is it just me, or does anybody else feel like Mia and Gordon have gone over lines? Where Mia's like, okay, Gordon, you're going to say this during this scene, I'm going to say that, and then you'll say that. I've never felt like Mia and Gordon's scenes are authentic. I feel like Mia is always putting on because she wants some camera time. And this scene felt so confusing and convoluted. I didn't know what they were talking about. But anyhow, I digress. So they're out on their lunch date. Mia says that they're still in therapy, and how they can only do day dates now because they don't have a nanny, and that's a problem for her. Gordon had me screaming in this scene because he says, let's toast, and now he says, yeah, because you cut me hard and deep. I was like, all right, we're starting off like this? So Mia is taken aback. She's like, wait, I cut you hard and deep? So she says, it's been really tough, babe, because I feel like there hasn't been any ownership or self-accountability when it comes to you and your siblings and why they kicked us both out of the family business. Personally, I feel like Mia being on this show and showing her ass is the real reason why the family kicked Gordon out of the business, because I think that had they not been on this show, they would still be in those positions. Just my humble opinion, I think that Gordon's family probably doesn't like Mia, and they feel like, oh my gosh, she's a bad look to the company. She's on this show assaulting people, just being a liar. And I think that they said, you know what, we don't need this kind of press. Let's kick them both out. Either way, I know that Gordon's 3 ex-wives and his 5 kids are all having a good laugh at Gordon being made a fool of on national TV by Mia. So Gordon says, well, I agree and disagree, because when I asked my siblings why they chose to kick us out, they told me that I wasn't listening. So here's where we see that Mia really wants out of this marriage. She brings up how she was ready to divorce Gordon, and she's like, yeah, you knew that. And Gordon says, well, actually, I didn't know that until I saw the receipts from the lawyer that you retained. So now they go back and forth about that. And I said, Mia, you're not fooling anybody. You want out. You are letting this man know to his face that you're not happy, you're tired, and you're ready to divorce him right now. I really feel sorry for Mia, because Mia is somebody who will say anything. And when she said, well, the reason why I wanted to divorce, it wasn't because of the money. It was because the marriage became a hostile environment. And the way Gordon said, oh no, girl, let's clear this up right now. I never hit you. I never got physical with you ever. So let's not say that. So Mia's like, no, you never hit me. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that it became hostile because of your attitude. Like you became like a hyena. Now I said, Mia, you can just be honest. You want out because he's broke now. Just admit it, girl. It's okay. Now, when Mia went on to say that Gordon became controlling, saying, this is my house, it's my money, I said, how was he saying it's his money when he's broke? If we're being honest, the only person making money in that marriage is Mia. So how could he even say that? I said, again, Mia, stop all this lying. I don't think that Gordon ever said that. I think that you're just coming up with excuses because you don't want to look bad, like you ditched this old man because he's broke now. But it's okay, girl, because we know the truth. So since they're on the topic of divorce, Mia brings up how she went to Ashley's house a few days ago, and Ashley had mentioned to her that she had helped Michael out after he got back surgery. So Mia says that she was surprised to hear that, and how Ashley is a good one, because if her husband was cheating on her, she would have said, get one of those hoes to take care of you because I'm not doing it. So now Mia starts asking Gordon if he thinks that Ashley and Michael are going to divorce. Gordon was shady. He said no. He said they're not divorcing. Why would she leave the sugar daddy? Like, she's not doing that. It's a good gig if you can get it. I said the shade of it all. I said, let me find out that Gordon needs to have a champagne flute himself and his own tagline, because the reads that were coming out of his mouth. And Gordon is absolutely correct, because I don't believe for a minute that Ashley and Michael are divorcing. It's all a storyline, and it is all fake. They are still messing around with each other, if I had to guess, and they have no plans in actually getting a divorce. And since we're talking about Michael and Ashley, let's all rejoice in the fact that the judge threw out Michael's case against Candace. The audacity of that creep to sue Candace in the first place. That's what's really baffling. The fact that he thought that he would win that in the first place. But thank God that the judge had sense and threw the case out. So here's where this conversation gets spicy. Gordon flips it on them and he says, so how do you think that we would have handled a situation like Ashley and Michael? So Mia says, oh, you would give me a settlement. And Gordon says, no, I wouldn't. We would figure out a mutually beneficial arrangement between you and me where we're both happy, but we stay together, because what's the point in us splitting up? I said, okay. So now Mia says, well, what does that look like to you? So Gordon says, Mia, we already talked about this and you got mad at me. So now we see the producers asking Mia, what did Gordon mean when he said that? And Mia's like, I don't even know how to answer that comment. I said, girl, stop lying. You're just upset that Gordon is calling you out and letting it be known that you guys had an arrangement where you were allowed to do whatever you wanted on the side. And that meant you guys would stay together, keep up a happy front, but you guys would do your own things on the side. But Mia, I don't know why you're acting so quiet now when any other time you're willing to share your business and say that you and Gordon had threesomes and all this other stuff. So why are you so quiet and bashful now? And Mia lets it be known that while that's nice and all, there's not enough money that could be thrown at somebody who feels like they're being held in captivity. It's clear that Mia has checked out. The money is gone. It was cute for a little bit, but Mr. Brown is not who she wants to spend the rest of her life with. And it was a fun pit stop, but now she's on to greener pastures with a man her own age and somebody that she actually wants physically. I don't have any sympathy for Gordon. He knew what he was signing up for when he got with Mia, or any woman who is 30 years younger. A lot of these old men are delusional to think that a younger woman wants to be with your old behind. They're there for the money, sir. Unless you're George Clooney, where you look really good for your age and you're still well maintained and you have money, okay, I can see it. But when you only have money and you don't have looks or youth, stop. So it's the last scene of the episode, and we see it's the day of Nneka's unpacking pajama party. Now, personally, I think that this whole idea is stupid, because why are you having people over to help you unpack? If you don't hire some people to do that for you, Nneka, I'm not going to anybody's home to help them unpack or unbox anything. Get somebody else to do it. I'm here for some gossip, some champagne, a cute bite to nosh on, and that's it. So we see everybody arriving. Gizelle and Mia show up. Now we see Charisse, and now we see Karen. Of course, Karen and Charisse don't get along. So when Karen greets everybody, she just says hello everybody and pretty much ignoring Charisse. I was just like, damn, Karen. Honestly, I feel like the beef between Karen and Charisse really isn't that deep for Karen to hate Charisse that bad. Just my opinion, say what you want, but I feel like, Karen, it wouldn't hurt you to say hello to Charisse, but you know what, girl, it is what it is. So now Ashley arrives, and now we see Wendy's friend Kay arrive. I cannot pronounce her name. Is it Kiara or Kiarna? I don't want to say it wrong. I'm just going to call her Kay. But she's there, and now you have Gizelle asking Kay if Wendy is coming. So Kay relays the news that Wendy's not coming because she didn't feel comfortable. So Gizelle says, that's so rude of Wendy. She could have told the host this. And I said, Gizelle, I know good and damn well that you of all people are not talking about what's rude. You came to Wendy and Eddie's event the other day and did not even speak to them. Also, why are you so concerned about where Wendy's at? Let Nneka worry about that, not you. It's not your event. Now, despite Gizelle being the wrong messenger to call anybody rude, let me just say this. Wendy, it is rude and it is in poor taste to not call up the host directly and say, hey, Nneka, I don't feel comfortable. I don't want to go. I would like for us to talk first before I come into your home. I feel like you did owe Nneka at least a text or a phone call to let her know that you would not be there. Just my opinion. Now, Nneka, I know that you were surprised that Wendy did not come, but let me just say this. In my opinion, your event is a bit more intimate because it is in your home. And I think that if you wanted Wendy to come, you should have probably scheduled a one-on-one sit-down before your event. And then maybe she would have come. So now Candace arrives, and now we see Nneka saying that she needs them to help unpack her wedding gifts. Now, the way they were all like, Nneka, you're a cool girl and all, but I don't want to do that. Mia was just like, yeah, girl, hire some other people because that's not my job. So now Gizelle is being shady and she says, Karen, you look refreshed today. And Karen's like, thank you, but I can sense the shade. And I'm not going to hold you. It is clear as day that Karen got some work done because her face definitely looks refreshed. Now Gizelle goes on to ask if Karen and Mia are good. And now Karen addresses Mia and she says, Mia, let me tell you something really quickly. I brought you into this group. So now they go back and forth. And now Karen's like, you know what, girl, I'm done with this. Let's drop the topic. So now the food is ready. And let me just say, while Nneka gets on my last good nerves, I can always give credit where credit is due. Nneka knows how to have a good spread, because that catered food looked delicious. I said, Nneka, please teach the girls a thing or two about hosting, because she had a full spread. So while they're eating, we see Karen and Mia still going at it. So Karen's like, Mia, you called me a trick the other day. So Mia says, well, it takes a trick to know a trick. So Karen says, you know what? You guys have been coming after me with these tired rumors for 8 years, and it's actually hilarious at this point. If you want to talk about rumors, then let's talk about some rumors, because I have never come after your marriage, even though I heard that you met up with a rapper and how you're also having sex with a married man. So they're all like, girl, what? So here goes Gizelle. She's like, well, I never heard that. So Karen says, well, I did. And I've heard that Mia is openly dating. So Mia says that her and this rapper have been hanging out, but they're not screwing around. And I just said, okay, girl. I said, why are we telling these lies? So Mia goes on to clear her name and she says, the only married man I've ever had sex with is Gordon, and I own that. Candace's shade had me screaming. She was like, I understand that Mia is trying to secure the bag for her and her kids, but have we not learned anything? Why are you getting with a rapper? Like, did you not learn anything at Whole University? I was like, yeah, she's right, because these rappers will leave you high and dry like that. So now Nneka interrupts and she's like, let's play this shady game called Never Have I Ever Done Something that I think that somebody else in this group has done. So they're all like, girl, what? So now they all write down their questions. Gizelle reads her question and is, never have I ever paid for vitamin D. And we know that vitamin D stands for dick. So Ashley's like, well, honestly, I think that Charisse has probably paid for dick before. Charisse was so offended. She was like, excuse me, what? Like, not me, not over here. And Ashley was like, I mean, girl, I don't really believe you, but okay. Now, it's a sad day when I'm agreeing with Ashley Darby, but I low-key believe that Charisse has paid for it before. She gives me those vibes. She gives a bit of desperation. So now Nneka reads her card and it says, never have I ever had a picture of somebody else's family in my phone and had a screenshot of it. And we all know that she's referring to Robin's story about Robin seeing Karen having a picture of her family on her phone. So everybody's confused. And now Robin says, Karen, a few years ago when we were at lunch together, you were showing me a picture of Raven, and I saw that you had a picture of me and my parents and my kids in your phone. So Karen is playing dumb, and then she says, well, maybe I did because I do take a lot of screenshots. So now they're asking Karen if she has a folder of Robin, and Karen says yes. So Karen goes on to say that she loves Robin's parents, and that's probably why she has a picture of them in her phone. And personally, I think that Karen was talking mess about Robin and her family, and that's why she has that screenshot of them in her phone, because she was probably sending it to somebody to talk crap about them. Now, one of y'all had me screaming in my last recap the way I had tears streaming down my face. One of y'all said Karen had that picture of Robin in her phone to show folks what a fool looks like, and the way I was screaming so loud. Y'all really have me screaming with the comments. I mean, y'all show out every single time, and I live. But anyhow, we end the episode with them all toasting to Nneka, and Karen gives a speech saying that she loves seeing a woman take charge and that she wishes Nneka the best. And that's where it ends. Now, again, I think that this was the best episode of the season so far. And Married to Medicine was also really good. I said, okay, it feels like Sunday nights are back to being entertaining again. But guys, that was my recap. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. And you already know what to do. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all later. Bye.